Welcome back. It's time for our talking point now, and this morning we discuss what having a healthy self-image means. And at some point in our lives, we've all had issues with the way our bodies look. But why? And how can we make sure that young girls see themselves what they truly are, beautiful beings in and out? I'm joined in studio by eNews 8 p.m. executive producer, Ms. Bazukile Diko, creative and activist Mahlogonolo Manchester Mahapa, and plus-size artivist, I beg your pardon, Khanyisa Mbuthu, who's in our Durban studios. A very refreshing morning to you, ladies, and thank you so much for joining us. Baz, let's try and understand why we find ourselves in that situation where you question who you are and the way your body looks. What shapes our understanding of what we look like?
I know it might sound like a tired concept, but the reality is, honestly, what you do see in the media really does influence how you view yourself. I know for myself personally that buying magazines, I would see that women always look perfectly trimmed, muscles all in the right places, and never even a spot of cellulite. And I found myself now starting to pursue this concept of perfection. And if I was in swimming class, for example, I'd see that other girls have less jutted out hips and things like that, and I'd immediately feel that clearly there's something wrong with me. I need to diet, or I need to always wrap my towel around my body as soon as I'm out of the water, never wanting to expose myself. And the ironic part is, I was in an all-girls school. Actually, for what reason would I even feel that I need to be conscious of how I look? Because we all were the same, and there was no other or the man gaze upon our bodies. So that isn't what it was about. But I found that, you know, internally you feel like you need to be perfect, and if there's just something that doesn't look like what you see in the magazine, then clearly you're not good enough, and you need to hide yourself.
You touch on a very important aspect of the internally, because we always focus on what we look like on the outside. But Mahlogonolo, when it comes to you, when did you fall in love with your body? Did you ever have issues with the way you looked?
Definitely. I think, you know, it starts, I think as black women, it also starts with how we see representations of our complexion as well. So I remember growing up, I was like, okay, I'm a bit darker than all the other girls. Okay, you know, and they always like tell the light-skinned babies, you guys are so beautiful. And they're like, oh, and then I was like, mabaku. You know? So I think, I mean, I was very cognizant from a young age that, okay, there are kind of like different representations of beauty that also have to deal with like your skin color as well. So I think, you know, learning to love my body and learning to love my skin has also been a journey. And I think I've grown more into it over the years. I think, you know, over the years, even probably at about 21, I had this horrible like brush of like acne, and I was like, oh my gosh, I hated like just even like, you know, stepping outside of my room, because you feel like the spotlight is on you, like everybody's seeing, like, oh my gosh, here comes the girl with the acne. But actually people sometimes really don't dig that deep. They just see you for who you are. And so kind of understanding and accepting and loving yourself really is an inside project, and it is a journey, and it's one I think every woman has to undertake, especially in your 20s. And I think the most beautiful way to kind of encompass what I'm trying to say is, there's a poet called Neria Wahid, and she says, love myself is the quietest, simplest, and most powerful revolution. And I think once you get to that place where you love yourself, it radiates from within. People can see you. You just beam, and you know what I mean? You're just confident.
Right, and someone leading the revolution is in our Durban studios, Khanyisa Mbuthu. Let's introduce her into the conversation. A very good morning to you, Khanyisa, and thank you so much for joining us. Tell us about your work and the kind of activism that you do. Being a plus-size model, what are some of the challenges that come with that?
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, guys, for having me, and good morning to you all beautiful beings there. Basically, for me, I've struggled quite a lot when it comes to, you know, my weight. I was bullied quite a lot growing up. I was one of the few people within my school that couldn't afford a lot of things. So I couldn't afford nice trendy clothes, or, you know, all those things that would make me look beautiful. So in return, I got very, like I was bullied quite a lot for being big. You know how it is when you're in high school and stuff. So I always shied away and sat in a corner and thinking, oh my goodness, I'm ugly, can't afford nice clothes and whatnot. And then for me, my turnaround was when I was doing my nursing in Matateni Nursing Campus, where I decided, you know what, this is who I am, and I'm just going to embrace being thick, you know. And then started there buying, you know, like very different type of clothes that make me stand out so that people would focus more on the clothes more than my body. So I started wearing, you know, weird stuff. I started, you know, wearing things that people would be like, oh, you've got a nice dress on, and they would not focus more on my body. So, and then I grew up, I've always wanted to be a model, and then I always saw, every time when you ask, when you see like TV, magazines and stuff, it's always nice, trim ladies. And I'm thinking, I would never make it as a plus size person. And then I said to myself, what if I had to then imitate what they do, like, you know, your Bonangs, your Pearl 2C, you know. And then I started, I think it was this year when I started just, you know, doing the poses that they would do, just to say, you know, like, this is who I am, I'm a plus size woman. Can I also be recognized? And also as a way of encouraging other plus size women out there with it's okay to be big, so long as you know that you're healthy, not saying that you have to then not take care of yourself. You watch your blood pressure, your diabetes, your whatever, you eat fresh things and healthy things. But again, as a plus size woman, be able to be there and embrace yourself and be like, okay, this is me, take it, and this is what I'm trying to do right now to try and create an awareness, because I always wanted to be a plus size model. But then I can't because of the lot of things that have to come with being a plus size woman. And
you're doing it though, and you're doing such an amazing job. Let's come back to the Joburg studio. Baz, how important is it that what you say to especially children, you actually watch what you say? Kirk Franklin says something that stuck with me for years, that be careful what you tell a child, because you speak to the adult in them. So when you say things like, ooh, kiss kiss, or oh, you're so cute, but you know, you a little bit dark, Malibis is this or is that. So how important is it that we actually care for what we tell our children that informs who they become as adults?
I think it's actually one of the most important things, because I personally know that things that people have said have, when I'm quiet and alone, have often influenced how I view myself. Going through my life, there's been a phase where I was quite skinny, actually. Not that I saw it that way, but I was. And often people would be like, are you okay? You know, and you sometimes hear rumors. And once I had a cousin come ask me, but hey, right? You know, and I'm like, how? Why would I be sick? And then a couple of years later, I start working, I fatten up a bit. Next thing is like, yo, hey, you know. So it's like people are constantly saying something to you at different phases of your life. And I really do believe that things that are said to you when you are young and haven't really developed your sense of self and your confidence and being able to sift through what's positive, what's negative. I remember a teacher said something that has stayed with me: have a positive basket and have a negative basket. There's a point in your life where you can't quite separate things and put them in the basket that they belong in. So I think one must be careful what they say and how they say it. And now that I have a daughter, I'm finding that I have to be very careful of that, because my daughter is very chubby during like her 18-month-old period.
It's normal for
and I'd be like, your cheeks. But then something inside me was like, wait, be careful, because what if she starts to have some kind of complex about her chubby cheeks? They're gorgeous, we love them, but let's stop highlighting them. Let's stop saying you're bigger than other kids, because my daughter is quite big, just her structure, but she's not fat, but she's just bigger than her age group. So I have to be now careful not to plant the seeds of doubt in her about what she's like. She's gorgeous, she's beautiful. So I need to now also be more careful, because I know the impact of words. And it's quite important that at all times we say, you are beautiful as you are. Yes, your cheeks are big, but they just are you. Without these cheeks, you know, you wouldn't be the gorgeous child that you are.
You have to catch yourself before
you have to catch
actually
yourself.
do
And
something
I
like
had to have that moment because we were constantly talking
Right.
about this. And I was like, she might right now not be filtering these things in, but as she grows, if we continue to input that, she will actually, in her quiet space, when she's alone, internalize it, perhaps in a negative way.
Right. Mahlogonolo, we were talking a little bit earlier on about beauty also being an inside project, and not just beauty, but it's a positive self-image. Mentally, how important is it that we get ourselves to a place where you say, you know what, I hear that, and like Baz says, negative basket or positive basket, or I'm not even going to take that at all?
Yeah. I think, well, a lot of it has to do with self-care. You know, I'm a quotist at heart. you know, Audre Lorde said, you know, caring for yourself is not self-indulgence, it's self-preservation, and that also in itself is an act of political warfare. So the more you care for yourself, the more you love yourself, the more actually it just kind of speaks to how people also receive you. You know, there's nothing like seeing somebody who's confident walking into a room, and it's like I always say to my friends, like, even when I don't know, I don't care if I'm like not at my ideal body weight, I'm still working out and the CrossFit is taking a while, but when I look into the mirror, like, yo guys, like, put a ramp, I can win Miss Africa walking backwards.
Right.
You know, so it's
confidence,
so,
baby.
you know,
confidence,
you're so confident.
Right.
Like, even when you wear the clothes, they don't look like they're hanging, you know, on a hanger. They look like they just, like you're taken over them, you know, because you own them.
Right.
You know,
unfortunately, we are tied for time, so let me give Khanyisa the last say on this. Khanyisa, your message, not to just plus-size ladies, but there are young girls who, like Baz says, she grew up and she was a smaller size, but you still get picked on. So regardless of what you do, people will never be happy. But just give us your word to young girls in terms of just loving who you are and embracing yourself.
Okay, I think for me would be like, it's very important to surround yourself with positive people, people who will influence your life in a positive way. So if you've got that support system, either be with your peer groups or maybe church members or friends, family, those people are the people that you should surround yourself with so that they instill positiveness within you, and then you follow people also who inspire you. Like myself, I'm part of a very amazing group called eNews, which is a group where there's a lot of love. So whenever I post my picture, I get, you know, like those loving comments and whatnot. So just be positive, stay true to yourself, love yourself, and always remember that the only person that you could ever be is yourself.
And we won. Thank you so much to these beautiful ladies in studio. It sort of reminds you of that song, India Arie. She's not the average girl from the video. You're not built like a supermodel, but you got to love yourself unconditionally. Absolutely. Because you're a queen. Thank you, my queens. This was very heartwarming. Thank you very much for your time this morning.